For the planet to say something, it takes 26,000 years. Our Earth is a living being that has been evolving, and we are just cells within the being that is evolving. The pyramids are connected to a wire of the planet that is related to information, which means the throat. Every temple, every pyramid is a musical instrument, and that every human is a tuning fork for that instrument.
On today's episode of Why Isn't Everyone Doing This, we have one of the most fascinating humans I have ever met. His name is Matías de Stefano, and he has remembered every single life all the way back to Atlantis. Matías talks about how Egypt represents the spine of the planet.
The Nile was actually a path through heaven on earth. And you travel through yourself as you walk the Nile, going from Isis temple in Aswan till the crown in the pyramids. So you have to tune the two snakes within you, poison and medicine. The technology that we lost is the ability to understand that we are that song.
Do you think that's why so many people have memories of Egypt? Like so many of us, like when we do past life recollections, we're like, oh, Egypt, Egypt, Egypt.
Well, I would say that
Hello, beautiful angels. I am outrageously excited for today for many, many reasons. One, I get to have a conversation with one of the most fascinating humans I've ever met. Two, this is the beginning and the kickoff for our Egypt pilgrimage that we're taking in just a few short weeks. And this is one of our only live podcast recordings. So we're going to record this as a conversation for Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? And we're going to open up for questions for the folks that are joining us on this pilgrimage. So those of you who are in the chat, the live studio audience, can you just give us like a thumbs up or a yes if you can hear and see Matías and I okay? So that we know we're doing good. Okay, beautiful. And if any questions are coming up while we're going, if you want to put them in the chat, feel free. And then towards the end, I think Kristen has given you there's a way for you to raise your hand and come on camera at the end if you like. So I'm gonna open up the container, open up the portal for prayer. Matías, if you'd like to pray together, that would be amazing. And then we'll start it. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. If you desire, you could place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Taking a big, nourishing, delicious breath into your heart. Exhaling on a hum. Taking an even deeper, softer breath all the way down into the root, all the way down into our hoo-has, into our pleasure, into our sacred sacrum. And as we exhale, softening, arriving, grounding. Imagine dropping two beautiful golden snake-like cords down from our heart through our root down into the crystalline core of the planet. Really grounding to this time, this space, this location. And as we inhale, breathing up that beautiful crystalline frequency into our bones, into our heart. And on the next inhale, breathing in that frequency of pure, divine love. Loving the parts of you that even you thought were unlovable. And then bringing that love up into your third eye, into that hall of Brahman, that marriage hall, that balance of masculine and feminine inside of all of us, and then allowing it to explode out of the top of your head in all directions, creating a beautiful toroidal field of love, magnetism, magic, protection, curiosity. And with this simultaneity of grounding down into the earth and opening up this crown chakra, activating our halos, our crowns, remembering ourselves as vessels, as channels between the terrestrial and the celestial, between heaven and earth, earth and heaven. Really remembering that heaven is a vibration, not a destination, and that we can move into that vibration right now. Taking a moment to tune into your childlike self, your inner child, that part of you that believed in magic, that remembered that anything and everything is possible, that communed with plants and animals and the spirit world, that danced between the unmanifest and the manifest, inviting in that younger part of you now, and inviting in your future self as well, your inner elder, that wise crone, that wise master. And really inviting in the spirit of curiosity, safety, wonder, so that we can receive Matthias's outrageous, lived and channeled wisdom with an open heart and an open mind. Actively calling on the spirit of Isis, Gaia, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, the spirit of all the temples we will be visiting on this pilgrimage, the spirit of Egypt itself, Thoth, and any other benevolent guides that would like to be experienced, remembered, or have wisdom to offer to this conversation and to this pilgrimage for ours and for everyone's highest good. You are welcome here. Anything else you'd like to offer into the field, Matthias?
I would like to offer recognition that everything that we're going to talk and everything that you're going to go through in this pilgrimage lives within you. So recognize within yourself through your spine that every temple and pyramid is actually a vertebra in your spine, that your nerve system is actually the Nile, that the delta of the Nile is your brain, that all the flow of the energy, the kundalini within you, it's all the power of wisdom of every god and goddess in the feminine and the masculine side of your body, the right and left, the logic and illogic. The magical world is all this connectivity within you. And the only thing that we do when we travel through Egypt is to rewire that within as we walk outside.
Beautiful. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, Matthias, thank you so much for saying yes to this. Thank you for offering your time and your openness and your wisdom to this pilgrimage and to this conversation. For those of you who don't know Matthias, I'm just going to share what a fascinating human he is. Matías de Stefano is an Argentinian spiritual teacher, also known as a rememberer, for his remarkable ability to recall past lives and ancient knowledge from a very young age, as young as 3. He spent the past many years activating sacred sites around the globe, teaching about the interconnectedness of humanity and the cosmos, and sharing this framework of Atertumti. Am I saying that right? Atertumti?
Mm-hmm.
Atertumti, yeah, bringing heaven to earth, which is very much a theme in much of the work that I do as well, which is why I think we keep swirling around the globe together. And he has had many series of a show on Gaia called Journey to Remembering, which is fascinating, which I highly recommend, where this series documents and explores you going to ancient civilizations, looking at hidden architecture of consciousness. And I think what makes you so compelling is not just the depth of your memory, like the fact that you have this memory all the way back to many, many lifetimes, but the clarity and the almost a childlike wonder with which you communicate these complex and mystical ideas. And that's one of the things I love about you personally is it feels like you have this beautiful like duality and dichotomy that you can channel all these different entities and go into what I think you call yourself like a cosmic clown. But there's real power and potency in what comes through. But then when you're Matthias, you're like this awesome, fun, silly, like almost like a little kid, and I with no pretentiousness and no like it doesn't feel like you're trying to convert anyone or proselytize or evangelize to anyone. You're just like, hey, here's what's possible, and let's have fun and let's go to Disneyland and let's be silly together. I think that simultaneity is very, very rare. So thank you for your bravery. Those of you who
Thank you.
I've watched your show of Journey to Remembering, and we've also had the great privilege of getting to travel to Egypt together with Robert Edward Grant about a year and a half ago. And then speaking, I think we were just in Colibri in Greece, and I feel like there's been other. Oh, Gaia, we keynoted
Yeah.
at Gaia at that conference a few years ago, and every time I get to hear you speak, I'm just more and more fascinated and increasingly it feels like what nature is asking of me feels similar to the path that you this trail that you
Mhm.
have blazed. Like it feels like what's happening in me is like go to these sacred sites around the planet, receive and give, and tune into what ancient technologies, what codes, what ways did we work with energy and sound that we used to know as a species but have been forgotten, and which of those might be most relevant as we build the more beautiful earth that our hearts know is possible. Thanks you, Charles Eisenstein, for that quote. And so I think that's a great place to start, of just like a big picture,
Yeah.
besides like your outrageous personal story, like what ancient technologies, if any, or codes have you found, discovered, remembered that you think might be useful
Mhm.
as we move into building a new civilization? Because this one seems, we're going through a period of
Yes.
change, good, bad, destruction, creation, but we're changing. So,
Yeah, we are thinking a lot. Yeah, of course.
mhm.
Yeah, well, thank you for this space and for doing your part in all this weaving of this new reality. Well, yeah, of course. A lot of people knows me as rememberer, and I always like to say that remembering comes from the word to remember, which is to put the members together. And when we think about those terms, it's not about just remembering past lives, it's about connecting dots. So things that we usually believe that they are separated, that are not related, but actually are very related, and we have to kind of connect them again to understand the whole. And I usually explain that uh, our Earth is a living being that has been evolving, and we are just cells within the being that is evolving.
Mhm.
So when we move through the planet, we are touching different sides of the brain of the planet. So it's like when we go to Egypt, we are going to, for example, to the main spinal cord of planet Earth, let's say, or a specific gland, let's say, like the hypothalamus of the planet. So
And
so
specifically, I think
we
Cairo, like the pyramids in Cairo are the throat chakra of the planet. Like if you think of Gaia as a entity with its own chakra system or ley lines, do you agree
well,
that the pyramids are?
there are many different connections. It's not just the pyramids. The
Mhm.
pyramids are connected to a wire of the planet that is related to information, which means the throat. So it's not that the is only there. The throat chakra is actually in every
Mhm.
pyramid in the planet that has been wired as the communication system of consciousness. So there are different layers. There are different layers of chakras, let's say, on the planet.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I just want to say back what I heard, make sure I got this. So that any pyramid on the planet would be able to tune into this like wired grid of the communication center, or we would anthropomorphize it as a throat.
Yeah,
But that actually is just a communication center, but it's more complex and wider than one human body. Is that
exactly.
correct?
It's more
Okay.
complex. Yeah, it's more complex
Mhm.
because, for example, we when we try to tune, we use the tool of the throat chakra, but actually we are vibrating all the time, everywhere, in every cell.
Yeah.
Like everything is vibrating. So the chakra is not just here. It's not just in the throat. The
Yes.
vibration law is everywhere. So when you
Mhm.
wire a system like from the throat chakra through the pineal gland, through your ears, your nose, your fingers, it all vibrates. So that's the
Yes.
network of the throat chakra, let's say. Okay, so
Thank you so much. So as
so
a
you're
former Broadway singer, that makes so much sense. Like before you even start warming up your voice, you do diaphragmatic exercises. You like stretch out your intercostals. You get the resonant
yeah,
chamber of your chest big, and it's not just your voice is not
yeah.
just coming from your throat. So I
This is the
really,
result.
really get that.
This is the result. It's not the origin.
Yes. Okay,
Exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in those terms, like how do you put your feet in the ground? How do you flex your knees? All of that makes the power of your voice. So
Mhm.
so imagine that spread all around the planet. So every pyramid represents a specific note to tune the whole throat chakra of the planet. So it's not just Giza, the pyramids of Giza. It's every pyramid is like different notes that are creating a huge song. And
Mhm.
that's the Atlantean technology. The Atlantean technology is basically how do you build the notes to create specific points in the planet that you can play a specific note in a specific hertz, in a specific tune, that when you play them all through time, through the solstice and equinoxes, when you play them precisely, you can hear the song of Earth. So you can
Like the
speak with
Schulmann
the planet.
resonance. Do you mean like the Schulmann
Yeah,
resonance or something different?
that's part of it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
part of the system. So basically, you can hear what the planet is saying. But to imagine, like for example, when we speak, we take a time. Like we are going to be for 1 hour speaking here to get to a point. Okay, so for the planet to say something, it takes 26,000 years. So until yeah, until you finish a sentence. So yeah, so to hear the message of Earth, you need a long time in specific alignments to download specific sounds. So you need many languages, many cultures, all connected in a specific grid through temples and pyramids that download a specific data. And when you combine them all, you can hear the song. You can hear the message. And
And
so,
have people been doing this? Like, how in the 26,000-year sentence, where are we now? How long has this been going on? Is anyone documenting the sentence? Where's the period? Well,
well, that's what we call mythology. For example, mythology is not explaining people's lives. Mythology is explaining exactly this. Religions are explaining this. Is the download of the message of Earth. The thing is that when you don't have the complete song, you just have one slice of the song of the planet. So, and you believe that that is the truth. You're not listening to the whole song. So
Mm,
when you hear the whole album, let's say with 12 songs, let's say you have the whole album of the planet, so you
uh-huh.
have the complete image of the message. But if you start with only one of them, so you cannot hear the whole message. And that's been one of the biggest problems of humanity, that we just get stuck with one idea, with one song, with one note, and we
Mhm.
say this is the truth. And if the song is changing the chord to play another part of the song, then some people get triggered because it's like, oh, my reality is ending and the new one is beginning, but actually it's the song playing along. um
Yeah, you don't wanna
and
hear just chopsticks, like, you don't wanna hear just one note of one song again and again and again, it
yeah,
needs to be dynamic and changing. I used to
exactly.
when I was a little girl, I used to think that God was a disco ball. It's like, we're
Hmm.
all looking at the same thing, but you're seeing green and I'm seeing purple and you're seeing red, but we're all looking at the same thing and that thing is moving. But what I love about what you're saying, and this is a brand new concept for me, is the amount of unity and collaboration that would be required to tune into all these different pyramids, all these different temples to receive the message simultaneously. Like,
Yeah,
even if we never get to the end of the sentence in our lifetimes, which we wouldn't, that the act of doing it would create heaven on earth through that listening, through that collaboration,
yeah.
through that synchronicity. Would you
Well,
agree with that? Or
I like to compare this with our own lives in our own body and biology. Like I just told you that every human is like a cell. Okay, so how many cells do you have in your body? Billions
trillions?
of cells, trillions of
Mhm.
cells in your body. And most of them are specified in specific organs. So not all of us, not all of the cells know everything, because if the intestine cells goes to the heart to do the heart job, they won't know how to do it. The neurons
Uh-huh.
won't know how to do the job of the liver. The kidneys won't know how to do the job of the muscle. So you have specifications. Every cell is unique for a specific thing, and then we have trillions of virus inside that are making us work, trillions of bacteria that are making us work. So we have so many hosts in our body that are working with the cells, and every cell is creating a specific network that is vibrates in a specific symphony that only them can understand, which we call the chakras or the different energies in our body.
Mhm.
So we have all of that working together, and most of them don't understand each other. Like
Mhm.
the brain doesn't understand the kidney, the liver doesn't understand the food. So, but all of it takes a long time of evolution of your life until they kind of get along and they start to kind of work together for you to just live your life and to have fun or to suffer or whatever you're doing. Um,
I need more
but
suffering. Come on, kidney, get in the
yeah,
game. I gotta suffer.
exactly. Yeah, and then we say, why is my liver not working like this? Well, maybe because you're drinking Coca-Cola or whatever.
Or
But
both.
so yeah, you are giving a bad time to your liver, maybe. So your liver is not working, but it's creating problems in your sight because of, I don't know, whatever. So all this connectivity is also happening on planet Earth. When there's a country that is not working, when there's a culture that is creating a problem, or science that is doing this, or a religion that is doing that, or trees that are doing this, or fires there. So all of that is exactly what happens within us. It's just that we don't usually think about it because we see the news, but we never ask the news until we go to the doctor. So, but within ourselves, it's also happening. So the ancient civilizations, they were paying attention of that within and without.
Mhm.
So
It's one of the Hermetic
because they,
principles, right? Like, as
yeah,
within, so without, as above, so below, which when
exactly.
we're gonna get
So
to
thinking,
Hermes and both.
yeah. So thinking
Mhm.
about that, thinking about that law, the ancient civilizations understood, okay, there are certain regions that are useful for this. Other countries, other mountains, the rivers are used for this and this and that. So if we build a structure there to hold the energy of that, we can access the information of that organ. And if we connect these different regions with different temples, so we are able to access the grid of information, which is the nerve system of the planet. So you can access the information, the data, why this is happening. So it's a fascinating musical instrument that connects the biology of our bodies and the body of Earth.
Mhm.
So as we walk through the planet, we connect that nerve system of the planet, and you can access so much.
And are the pyramids or the temples, are they still gridded? Are they still connected?
Not all of them.
Or do they need to be reconnected?
And some of them needs to be rebuilt. And one of
Mhm.
the reasons why is because most of the temples that are being built are related to solstice, equinoxes, and certain stars. And every 2,000 years, the stars move because of the precession of the equinoxes. So, and also the
Mhm.
magnetical North Pole is moving, is not in the same position all the time. Let's say it's like you have built a whole office with computers, okay, and a server to have your information here, and you have everything plugged in a specific 220, the
Oh, like the
electricity,
power of the outlet. Yeah,
the
like
power, yeah, the power. So you put it in 220, but suddenly the
volts.
voltage of the whole house, the volts of the entire house, went to 440, let's say, or 110. I don't know. Maybe it's lower, maybe it's higher. So it changed the voltage. What happened? Your computers will burn or won't
Yeah.
work. Okay.
Mhm.
So imagine that every time that the whole house, which is the planet, is moving, it changed the voltage. Okay. So the computers or the temples, the pyramids, changed the voltage too. But if those pyramids were built for a specific 220, and now we are in other voltage, okay, for 40, 10, 110, whatever.
Mhm.
So if we change the voltage, what would they have to do? We have to change the computers, change the cables, change the system. So some of them can work again if we adapt the voltage, but some others cannot. So we
Mhm.
have to build new
And
ones.
can this be done, like, on the spiritual and energetic plane, or do they actually physically need to be reconstructed? And if the magnetic
No,
North Pole is moving, would they need to go to a different location as well?
you have to do it physically.
A new physical
We have
temple?
you have to wire it spiritually. You have to
Mhm.
follow the energy, but then you have to anchor it in the physical because we live in the third dimension.
Mhm.
So you anchor it in the third dimension. I mean, it's like uh, uh, being a musician is like saying, okay, I will get this guitar, but one of the strings of the guitar it's broken. So, and you say, I will just imagine it. I will just imagine the other string and complete the song. It's like it won't sound
Yeah.
proper.
You need an actual string. So, what about in Egypt, can you speak to, like, which temples feel like still, like, plugged in, still active, like, locationally accurate? Like, we're gonna be starting our pilgrimage in Aswan at the Isis temple, which I know was moved, so I know just the gate is underwater, but we'll be doing some ceremonies of just gratitude on the water, on the land, above the gate. We'll see how high the water is. But then we're moving up the Nile, moving up that Kundalini flow up to the pyramids in Cairo and Giza, and then also Abu Sir. So yeah, just curious and to me, like for me personally, this feels very much like a trip of gratitude to say thank you to Isis. She's just been such a huge influence in my life. I've never really had a direct connection to the divine like I do with Isis. Like I feel like you have this whole access, this whole pantheon. I really just have this like one homie, and so I'm just going to like really say thank you, and then we're going to travel up. And then my dream, my prayer is to do a Ziva magic activation in Cairo, in Giza, near the pyramids, to plant the prayers for a larger scale activation, with my dream being like 13,000 people in a very high state of consciousness and coherence, holding a vision for the planet and the species, and then pouring their pleasure over those prayers. And so, yeah, open to any counsel, wisdom, which temples you think are the most alive, any advice you have around planting those prayers for the large scale activations. I know you've done some in Giza, so I'd just love to hear anything that feels relevant to share there.
Cool. Yeah. Well, just to have this in mind, uh, the Nile, more than Egypt, the entire Nile is like the source of the power of our consciousness. Um, and think about this historically. Uh, all humans come from Africa, and most of the humans that are all around the world, to travel around the world thousands of years ago, they had to cross the Nile at one point. So the
Mm.
Nile doesn't start in Egypt. The Nile starts actually in Uganda and Kenya. So Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania are all the sources of water that feed the lake, Victoria Lake, that is the source of the White Nile. So then you have Ethiopia, which is the source of the Blue Nile, and the Blue Nile and the White Nile get together in Sudan, and it creates the one Nile. This is the source of our knowledge, because every human that started to migrate to search for a future, following the stars, they had to cross the Nile at one point when they wanted to go to Europe, Middle East, Asia, Oceania, and then America.
Do you think that's why
Okay.
so many people have memories of Egypt? Like so many of us, like when we do past life recollections, we're like, oh, Egypt, Egypt, Egypt.
Yeah, exactly. Because every human in our cells had the memory of crossing the Nile or navigating the Nile in order to spread.
Hmm.
And in our body, as I said at the beginning, in our body, that is the center, the Kundalini. So it's the main Kundalini of our being. And the ancient civilizations, which was not Egypt, even before Atlantis, the first people that lived there in that region, they understood that the Nile was not a random river. The Nile was actually a path through heaven on earth.
Can you say
And
more about that?
so,
Why is the Nile a path of heaven on earth?
because this river is connecting south and north, so it's a way to follow the magnetical North Pole, the Northern Star. So when you walk through the Nile, you literally cross the planet from south to the north, or north to the south, and from all the different sides of the river, you can cross from the east to the west. So they understood that it is also the beginning of everything and the end of everything.
Hmm.
So it's a perfect river that doesn't run like all the other rivers. Usually, all the other rivers run in a different position with a lot
Mhm.
of curves and stuff. But this one goes straight north, dividing the territory in between east and west in a beautiful way. So, so for everyone to cross the Nile from one side to the other was like cross from the east and the west, the life and death, uh, from the south to the north. It was a whole initiatic journey because you could follow it,
Mm.
and follow the
Mm.
animals, follow the flow of the river, and you could actually follow the flow of life. So for
Mm.
everyone, for the first settlers, in that region, the river represented basically the river that is also on the sky. If you see the Milky Way, for example, so when you see the Milky Way, in the sky, have you ever seen it? Like the whole beautiful river of stars. You can see the river crossing also, and you see all the constellations as the temples. Okay, so when the first nomads were following the north or the east, this following the sun, following the northern star, to not to get lost in the desert or the savannas, what they were following was a river in the sky.
Mm.
Now we don't see it because we have too many cities, and we can see it. But
Too
when
many
you go
iPhones
to
in
the
our
middle
eyes.
of nowhere, huh?
Too many iPhones in our
What?
eyes. It's hard to see the
Yes,
stars when
totally,
you're looking at blue light in your eyeballs.
exactly, yeah. But when you are in a place with nothing and you are like just walking in the middle of the desert, you can see the river in the sky. You can see the Milky Way. Okay, so you can see the river, and all the main stars are around the river. So through time, when they found the Nile, they could understand, oh, this is the river that we follow in the sky, but here on Earth. So
Mm.
around the Nile, we're gonna put the stars, the constellations that we have been following, and we
Ah,
call them the temples. Okay,
uh-huh.
so the word temple, this is very interesting. The word temple is a Latin word that describes a place with no trees where you can see the sky. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so it's not a building. It's just a place where they cut the trees so they can see the sky. Okay, so that was a temple.
Mhm.
Then, when they discovered that you can see those stars within, and your body was also temple, and when you close your eyes, you can see within, they started to build temples so you can have darkness inside and you can see within. Okay,
Mm.
so that's how a temple was called temple, but actually, the temple was a place to observe the skies. Okay,
Beautiful.
um, so that's the combination of why the river Nile is actually the Milky Way in the sky. Okay, for the
Mhm.
first travelers, the first navigation system was to follow the stars through the river, the Milky
Mhm.
Way.
Mhm.
So what happened is that the Nile, from the very beginning of humanity, became the place where you could actually walk through time and understand how time and space work. So every master, every priestess, every priest that walked that journey, were walking the skies, were walking with the gods throughout the Nile. What are the gods? The gods are the different planets, the different constellations.
Mhm.
And what they did was to just download them in temples and pyramids where they could meet with those gods and talk with them and sit and speak the language of them. So
Mhm.
every temple used to be a place where you could meet with the gods. There's a beautiful story related to Isis on on how that happened. So in the beginning of everything, there was only void, which is called Nun, in
Mhm.
Egyptian. The Nun created by reflection a divine stone, which is the philosopher's stone, and that divine stone is called Ben Ben. So that Ben Ben reflected the light of the void, reflected the everything, creating the first fire. So the first fire is the Big Bang, and the Big Bang
Mhm.
created all the chemical elements that will create the stones, the planets, the suns, and the stars. So it's earth. So the fire creates earth, and then the earth accumulated the water, and then the air was appear in the atmospheres. So all the four elements are being created. So those four elements are the first four siblings that we call Isis, Osiris,
Mhm.
Set, and Nephthys, the
Mhm.
four elements. So there's the story that Osiris, the one that ruled the creation, was killed by his brother, the fire, meaning volcanoes, destruction. So it destroyed the creation and it cut Osiris in 14 different pieces. Okay. So those 14 different pieces were different planets, constellations, directions, but also temples. So they created 14 temples representing the 14 pieces of Osiris. And the
Mhm.
only one that was able to put them together was Isis. So Isis traveled through the Nile, connecting every piece of his husband, Osiris, connecting them from one side to the Nile to the other. And that's what we call the hero's journey of Isis, which is the constellations Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. You follow every constellation in the river Nile, which is the Milky Way, and you follow Isis trying to make sense, connecting the pieces of Osiris that was split in different pieces. So
Remembering.
as you
She was
go
she was
through the,
remembering.
she's remembering exactly.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
her work was to remember the whole story, remember
Mhm.
Osiris, put the members together. And
Mhm.
that's the concept of why Egypt is a place where you go to remember, not to remember Egypt, but to remember who you are, the different aspects of yourself, the different pieces that has been spread in your creation, and you travel through yourself as you walk the Nile, going from Isis temple in Aswan till the crown in the pyramids. So you go through all the chakras of the system, connecting every piece of the puzzle until you can remember why that land is so important for every human cell, not for an individual, but for every human cell. That journey represents the connection of everything.
Mhm.
And I would say, for example, of course, the Temple of Isis was moved from its original position. But the Temple of Isis was also not Egyptian fully, because the Temple of Isis, Komombo, and most of the temples that you're going to walk through, besides the pyramids, but most of the temples that you will walk, they were financed and built by the Romans and the Greek people, not the
Mm.
Egyptians. So wherever you see a hieroglyphic in the south, it was financed by Rome or by the Greek.
Oh.
So it's not very
Financed
ancient.
by, but created by Egyptians or no?
Yeah, the Egyptians created it, but it was
Mhm.
financed by Rome and Greece, which means that the temples are not older than 2 to 3,000 years. Okay,
Except for the pyramids.
uh, the pyramids, the Temple of Karnak, for example, the Temple of Luxor, the temple, yeah, some of those temples have 4,000 years old, which means that they are Egyptian, and you can tell
Mhm.
this because of the size of the hieroglyphics. So the
Mhm.
bigger the columns and the bigger the hieroglyphics is Egyptian. The smaller the hieroglyphics and the smaller the columns, or the more decorated the columns, they were paid by the Greeks or the Romans. Okay,
Why?
so
Why did
that's
Greece and Rome want to fund them?
because the Greeks and the Romans were polytheistics, and when they conquered Egypt, they wanted to honor the gods, so the gods protected them.
Mhm.
So if you pay tribute to the gods of Egypt, because they were polytheistic, so one got more, one got less. We don't
But I
care.
really like the
No, no,
idea
like
of, like, instead of, like, a super PAC of, like, the petroleum companies paying off the politicians, I really like the politicians paying off the gods and goddesses. Like, I can
yeah,
this is something
exactly,
this
yeah.
is a super PAC I can
It
get
was a
behind.
bribe. It was a bribe to the gods, basically.
Yeah,
It's
into
like
it.
it's like we come here, we want your resources, but we're gonna bring resources too. So if you
Uh-huh.
pay to the gods, it means that actually the priest and the priestess were happy, which made the people happy. So the priest and the
Mhm.
priestess say, if you build me a temple for my God, I will convince the Pharaoh to believe in you and to allow you to be the emperor of this territory. And the people will be happy
Mm.
because God will be happy. The gods will be happy. So it's a whole political thing of why the temples in Egypt were built by the Romans and the Greeks. So
Oh, fascinating.
then the bigger temples like Karnak, for example, in Luxor, they were built by pharaohs. There was no Rome, no Greece in that time. It was just the
Mm.
pharaohs of Egypt. And then the pyramids were not made by Egyptians. The pyramids are out of the discussion of Egypt. They were Atlanteans and had between 10 to 12,000 years old. So they were
Mm.
reused and redecorated by the Egyptians. So you will go through three different periods of history as you move through the Nile.
Mhm.
The southern you go, the more Greco-Roman things you will find. In the middle, more Egyptian things around Luxor, because it used to be the capital of the ancient Egypt. The unification of the south and the upper Egypt and the south Egypt and the lower Egypt. And then the northern you go, the more you find Atlantean things, which are not related to Egyptians. So you have like three different periods, but the the initiatic journey is still there.
Mhm.
The idea of why you need to start in Aswan is because that region was the origin of the forces of the mother. So the mother gives birth to the connectivity towards the divine in the north. And
Mm.
so every temple that you will visit doesn't have the energy anymore, but has the memory. So it's not that you will find the uh, the actual energy that was there once at the beginning, because the temples were moved, they were destroyed, they are not being worked on correctly. Um, but the memory is there. So when you walk there and you touch a wall and you sit down or you just breathe deeply in certain places, you can remember, you can bring the memories of yourselves having gone through that river and those temples at least once in the past.
Mm. So beautiful. And to that end, is there any like practical um practices or breath or meditation that you would recommend, like when we're actually in the temples, or that people could be doing now to prepare themselves both to receive and remember, but also to
Yeah.
give, to come and make offerings energetically, and beyond? At Ziva, we really like to help you be great in bed. And part of that actually means getting great sleep. I believe that sleep is a superpower. It's one of the things that is free, that helps you perform better during your day. And meditation is obviously the number one sleep hack that I have. But my number two sleep hack is actually magnesium. And upgraded magnesium is the only magnesium in the world that is proven in a clinical trial to absorb 99.9%. That combined with their 8 hour sleep helps your body not only go to sleep faster, but stay in a deeper state of rest longer. So the combo of the two, along with meditation, is going to make you feel like a superhero. So you can go to upgradedformulas.com/Emily and use the code Emily to get 20% off. This is the one supplement. If I had to go to the desert island and only take one supplement with me, it would be upgraded magnesium. So check it out, upgradedformulas.com/Emily, and use the code Emily for 20% off.
Well, I would say that to prepare before going to Egypt, acknowledge that you have the Nile within yourself. So just bring the Nile within yourself and think how Aswan is in your root chakra and Giza is in the throat and all this region here in the eyes. Like think about the three pyramids being the three eyes here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and then you have the delta of the Nile opening in the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So look into a map. Okay, look into a map and you will see from Aswan, you will see the solar plexus, which is right under your sternum, between your ribs. um, that point there is the little corner of the Nile where you have Luxor, Karnak. Yeah, so Luxor and Karnak are exactly there, and then you have all the sternum. It's usually a part of the river that nobody navigates, but it's all the sternum until you reach Cairo, okay, in the throat. So all of that region, okay, is here. So below, which is your intestines, your stomach, your womb, your root chakra, all of that are the temples below. Okay, are all the temples that are in the upper Nile, they call it. So think about locating before going to Egypt. Locate Egypt within you, and when you grab the Nile with your two hands, one for the upper Egypt here and one for the lower Egypt here. Remember that upper Egypt is called because it's higher lands because of the mountains, and lower Egypt is because it's going down to the valley to end in the sea. That's why it's called
Even
like
though
that.
upper
It's
is
not because
south and lower is north.
exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. So when you grab like this in your side, the two Niles, the two aspects of the Nile, yeah, what you have is the stuff of Hermes.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the stuff of Hermes, and the Kundalini is the snake that is rolled in the stuff of Hermes that you see in every pharmacy when you go. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the caduceus, with the
the
sword and the
caduceus.
two snakes coming up,
Exactly.
the Ida and Pingala, which is, very much the work that we do inside of Ziva Magic is bringing that kundalini, bringing that life force from the root up into the crown, and then uniting that masculine and feminine, the pineal and the pituitary inside so that secretes the melatonin, the precursor to DMT, to turn up the dial of divinity inside of ourselves, to make the frequency of heaven on earth in our bodies through using this river inside of us. So people will already
Exactly.
have a foundational practice, but I've not laid over the Nile onto it. So this is perfect and fascinating.
Yeah. So you have the two snakes start in
Hmm.
Aswan. Okay.
Hmm.
Actually, the two are born in the south, which is in Abu Simbel. Okay. So
Hmm.
from you're not going there.
Hmm.
Um, but from Abu Simbel is like the tip of that of the caduceus. Okay, and
It would
then
be
it
like
starts to
the
create the
tip of
first
your
curve.
tail, like the spine.
What?
Would it be like the tip of the
The
spine,
tail.
like your
Yeah.
tail, like the end of your tail? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the coccyx, let's say. So from there, it starts to create the first circle, let's say, or the first cross of the two snakes is Aswan. Okay, so all the region of the south. So from there, it starts to move the two forces, the feminine and the masculine, and they both end. One ends in Alexandria, yeah, like here, and the other one in Ismailia, here. So
Where?
you have Ismailia, which is in the other side of the. You have the delta of the Nile, okay. You have the delta. So when you see the delta, and here's the Mediterranean Sea, and here's Cairo. So in this point of connection is Cairo. Then you see in the map the delta of the Nile. So in one point here, you have Alexandria, where the library used to be. Hmm? This is
Hmm.
where the ancient library with all the knowledge used to be.
Knowledge.
And in the other
Right.
side, Ismailia is to cross to Israel, is to the other side to the Holy Land. Okay, so you have this aspect like this, which is the two snakes that ends on the top, which is the lotus flower. Okay, that is open in your head. So if you pay attention to all of that system before you go there, once you get to the land, you will feel it within.
Hmm.
It's not that you are outside of your body, you are walking within your body.
Hmm.
And I think if you go through the geography, if you go through the map, if you acknowledge that within you, then you will walk yourself when you are in Egypt. You're not just going to
Mm.
Egypt, you're walking yourself in the hermetical principles of why Hermes built the country in that way. He built the country for you to do specifically this. It's not random. Is every master, every priest, every priestess, every god and goddess, every person that was walking through Egypt was walking themselves from the root chakra to the crown chakra, going through every temple like a chakra, like the pieces of a series, to put them all together and to connect the staff of Hermes to create medicine out of poison. So,
Ah, to create medicine out of poison, like, this is it. My I just recently learned that my power animal is a peacock, and, like, yes, I'm a
mhm,
Broadway showgirl and fan kicks and all of that, but really it's because peacocks eat poison, they eat venom, and they transmute it into the beauty of their feathers, and so, like, this is why I think I'm so drawn to this land of, like,
mhm.
taking the poison and turning it into medicine.
One of the things that I am working with right now, and that Thoth has been guiding me in Egypt, is
Can
to
we just
make
press
the
pause? So I
journey.
just wanna say, like, if you can just
Yeah.
explain Cliff's Notes, the connection between Hermes and Thoth, and, like, who is Thoth?
Oh
Like, 'cause
yeah.
for those of us don't know
Okay.
who don't know.
Okay. Uh, um, from those four gods that I mentioned,
Mhm.
the Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys, which is the four
Mhm.
elements, the first four siblings. There's a fifth one that is the master of the four of them, the guide or the teacher, which the Egyptians call Jahuti. So Jahuti, which is the original name, Jahuti was the master of knowledge. He was the creator of in mythology. He was the creator of language. He was the architect. He was the mathematician. He was the physician. He was the guy that connected all the science in alchemy.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's the god of alchemy. He made
Mhm.
science into spirit and spirit into science. That's him. So
Mhm.
Jahuti, because the Greek people couldn't pronounce correctly Jahuti, they call him Tutti.
Ah.
Okay, so the god Tov appears here. It's a mispronunciation of Jahuti because the Greek people couldn't pronounce it.
Okay,
So
great, thank you. Very helpful.
yeah, so that's why people call it Tov, but actually it's Jahuti. Um,
Uh-huh.
So so for the homonym, which is like the same god for the Greek people, is called Hermes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
which comes from the name Hermes, and Hermes means a pole that is on the path. Do you see when you're driving in a road and you see these little poles that are marking how many kilometers you have or what is the kilometer you are in? So in Greek language, those are called Hermes.
Hmm.
Okay, so it was used in the Greek roads 3,000 years ago. Those poles were used for the messengers to know how far they were from every village, from every city, when they had
Mm.
to travel. So the commerce people and the messengers, they were traveling following the Hermes. Okay. So that's why Hermes became the god of the messengers, became the
Hmm.
messenger of gods, and became the god of commerce. Basically, because they all pray to Hermes so they don't get lost.
Like, take my prayers up, take Hermes, deliver my prayers to the gods.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why Hermes was the messenger of gods. So every
Mhm.
temple it's a Hermes too. It's like, okay, I
Mhm.
have to go there. And once I get there, I know how many kilometers I have to go to the next one, and so on. So the god Jahuti is also Hermes, which is the hermetic god. We call the hermetism because of that. Okay, so all the hermetical principles are related to this: the laws of the universe, the principles of hermetism, the alchemy, and all of that comes from those names. And the Romans call it Mercury
Mhm.
because Mercutio was the name of the same god for the Romans. So you can use any of those names, and also some people call him the three times great because he's in the three levels: in the physical, in the emotional, and the spiritual level. He's great in the three levels, and that's why they call it Hermes Trismegistus.
Hmm.
Um, so Hermes
Beautiful.
Trismegistus, which for sure you have heard the name. Trismegistus means three times great in Greek.
So I want to
Yeah,
open it. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time to open up for Q&A, but I have one final question for you before we open it up for questions, and that would be if this is if there is one ancient technology, one ancient code, one thing that we used to know that may have been lost in these temples or beyond that humanity most needs to remember right now, in this time of transition, as we have this opportunity to birth something very new. Is there one that comes through where you're like, oh, this feels important for humanity to remember. This feels important for people to understand, or to lay the foundation in the building of the new Earth.
yeah. Well, talking about the first thing that I said, which is uh, Earth is a living being that works like a time machine, and that time machine only works through frequency. So
Hmm.
we have to think about the technology of sound as a technology that allows the vibration of every chemical element and every idea to exist, because every chemical element that we are, like we have carbon, sodium, phosphorus, all of that exists because of the vibration of the protons. So protons and electrons are vibrating different hertz. So those vibrations are creating more protons or less protons, creating different elements. So everything that we see is basically vibration, different hertz of the same vibration. So different frequencies of the
Hmm.
same vibration, let's say.
Yeah, like
So
in the Vedas, it would be like the simplification of this in the Vedas is that there's only one thing and we're all it. And that one thing is consciousness. That one thing is energy. So I think of this of like there's only like one thing and it's just vibrating at different frequencies, which makes it become different elements, different chemicals, different protons.
exactly, exactly, yeah.
Hmm.
So when we think in that way, we are all one song, but we listen to different notes of the song.
Mm.
Okay, so the technology that we lost is the ability to understand that we are that song, and that every temple, every pyramid is a musical instrument, and that every human, every culture is a way of singing or playing that instrument. Okay, and that every human is a tuning fork
Hmm.
for that instrument. So I think that if we learn to become tuning forks for the instrument of our culture, to know how to play the temples and the pyramids, so you can access to the song, which is the knowledge of the tree of life, basically. When you walk places like Egypt, it's kind of the most accurate places where you can walk on how to tune, because we were talking about these two snakes. Okay, so what is a tuning fork? Is one pole with two forks
Uh-huh.
here. Okay.
Ah, oh, I've never thought of that before. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you hold it in your root chakra, and then you calibrate it, boom, boom, and the other one will vibrate exactly the same if they are tuned. So you have to tune the two
Mm.
snakes within you, poison and medicine. You have to tune both of them. So what
Masculine
they
and
what they
feminine.
yeah, what the Hermes, the symbol of Hermes is not just the staff of Hermes, it's also the wings in the heels. Have you seen that? That
Yeah,
image
like the
of Hermes
Nike
with
sign.
wings in the
Yeah.
heel?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that symbol represents where the messenger puts the heel in each one of the frequencies. Okay, so it's flying through the frequencies in these two tuning forks. Okay, so if this one has the poison, I have to calibrate the poison to awake the medicine. Okay, but for doing that, I need to understand what is the poison. So, what is the poison? Is my Achilles heel. What is
Ah.
the weakest point in your life? So, when you think
Ah.
about what is your weakest point in your life and you step on it and you think of it, you will know where to put the other heel, which is the medicine.
Oh.
So, like that, you start to calibrate. So, I think that the
Right foot,
technology
left
of
foot,
walking,
poison, medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's Achilles heel. So it's to think
Oh,
about the weakest point of your life and then keep walking until you find the medicine. So every temple along the Nile is that, like, this is my weak point. Now I will step better when I recognize it. What is my next weak point, and so on. So that's kind of how you walk the journey. And I think that's the tuning fork that we have to improve as technology until we can use every religion, every culture, everything that we have in the planet for the song that allows us to access the tree of life and wisdom. Yeah.
oh,
Through the
the
snake that bites
universe,
us.
the one song.
Yes.
And that feels
Yeah.
so beautiful and so relevant, like, just to bring these beautiful concepts down to earth. Like, last week I was at Burning Man, and I was with some friends, and I was feeling just like story. I'm old and I'm this and I'm no one wants to love me and I'm gonna die alone with cats eating my face and, like, all these like silly human fears. And I just like
Yeah.
the poison, right? And I just bravely
Of
shared
course.
the poison of like, this is where I'm feeling the most pain right now. And in doing
Mhm.
that, in naming the poison, it allowed my friends to actively love me and integrate this feeling of
Mhm.
lack or this feeling of neediness into remembering and into wholeness and into loving those parts of myself that I thought were unlovable. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
share like a real life example of like, it doesn't have to be actual poison or actual sickness. It could be the heartbreak, the vulnerability, the loneliness, the guilt, like whatever is the current flavor
Yeah.
of poison, but naming that, loving it can be the alchemical force to
Mhm.
tune our forks so that we can be the messengers and the receivers of the divine into our bodies.
Yeah.
Ah,
Mhm.
Matia, this
Yeah.
is so good. So I'd love to open it up to the floor. Is there anything else you wish that I had asked or anything else you'd love to share before I open it up for questions?
I think that's enough.
I mean, I can do this for days. You're so brilliant. And I think that, I've known you for a few years now, and I feel like what keeps refining your wisdom and your remembrance has always been extraordinary, but your ability to really crystallize it and communicate it in very simple and profound analogies is just getting more and more brilliant. So thank you for
Thank
the
you.
work that you're doing. It's really exciting, and the world needs you, and I just want to fan your flame and celebrate you. So sweet friends, if you have questions, Kristen, can you let them know how they can raise their hand or come on camera? Anyone have any questions they want to ask? Because I will keep going if not. Okay. All right. Kim is asking, do the resonant frequencies of the chambers of the temples on the Nile correspond to the resonant frequencies of our chakras?
They have to. It doesn't mean that they do now, but they have to. Yes, they go through every hertz to the hertz of your chakras. But we have to think also that there are not just a certain amount of temples related to every chakra. There are many different temples. So most of the temples we don't visit, or they are destroyed, or they have no idea where they are. So we have to think that this is like scales of music. Like you have 12 main notes with the seven and then the other five. You have these notes, but those 12 you have it in different scales. So sounds are actually can infinite. Okay, the vibrations are infinite. So it's not one tempo for this frequency and one tempo for that frequency, but it's like a wave of different frequencies that are related to certain chakras. Okay, so it's not like this tempo is for this chakra for this frequency, but they are related kind of to the different regions of our body. Okay.
Mm, beautiful. Okay, let's see if there's any. Yeah, Kim is saying so beautiful. Thank you. Oh, Katie is asking, is there any specific offering or gift that Egypt would love most right now that we could bring her on this trip? Love that, Katie.
Egypt as what? As spiritual?
Yeah, I guess like the entity of Egypt, which I know is very multifaceted, but perhaps even the Nile or any of these temples, or I would ask on behalf of ISIS as well, because for me this feels very much like like I want to go say thank you.
Hmm.
So we could tune into Egypt, the Nile, ISIS, any offerings that we could bring.
I think that the biggest offering that you can actually give to the land is the service of connecting the places. You go to one place and you say, I'm here to be the tuning fork, I'm here to be in service to create the remembering. So, what do I need to remember from here to the next one? I think the whole territory needs constant connection. So the biggest offering that we can do is to give our bodies in service to be the the vessel where they can put the information within you so you can move along to the next one, drop it there, and then receive the new one, and then so on. So I think you becoming the vessel
Uh-huh.
for the connectivity is the biggest offering we can do to the temples and the divines and everything.
That feels so, so important and relevant and exactly it, like, for this pilgrimage and
Mhm.
also for this next phase of work that I'm gonna be doing. So, like,
Mhm.
letting ourselves remember it's how we open today with the prayer, right? Like, connecting down to the
Mhm.
earth, to the cosmos, remembering ourselves as the vessel and as the channel, emptying out so
Yeah.
we can receive what that temple has, sharing it with the next temple. And so Cherry's asking a question, do temples in other lands relate to this concept? And I want to add on to that question because I'm getting a download of like maybe doing a show maybe similar or inspired or like maybe a next chapter called like the Sacred Seven and going to seven different sites on the planet. And that's just I know it's much more complex than that, but TV is
Yeah.
TV. And so it's like I feel like people understand the seven chakras, the seven wonders of the world. So like if
Mhm.
you had to name like seven global sites that you think are relevant right now with the technologies that we could use and that would be helpful to be reconnected, do you have a hit
Mhm.
on like what would be the most relevant seven?
Well, talking about the most ancient ones that have been more important, I would say, of course, Egypt is the first one. Um, the British Isles is another one.
Mhm. Like Stonehenge or just the Isles in general?
uh, all around. It's
Mhm.
hundreds of stone circles. It's not just
Mm.
Stonehenge. Stonehenge
Mhm.
is one of the many. It's full of them. So the British Isles in general, like we say Egypt, so the British Isles. Then is the south of Mexico. That's another important one, of course.
The
The
Teotihuacan,
south
the
of Peru.
pyramids there or somewhere else? Like the
All the
feathered serpent?
region. Like talking
Uh-huh.
about the region, you will find that there are many pyramids and temples all over. So
Mhm.
I'm talking about initiatic paths. Like
Okay.
there's one initiatic path that is through the Nile of Egypt with all the temples. There's another one in the British Isles through stone circles. There's another one in Mexico through volcanoes and pyramids. There's another one between Bolivia and Peru through the journey of from Titicaca to Machu Picchu. That's another important journey. So I said four there. Then you have the one in Tamil Nadu in the south of India, with all
Mm.
the temples from Tamil Nadu to Sri Lanka. That's another journey. That's another important path. You have five, I think I mentioned already.
Mhm.
Then you have the one that is in Indonesia, from Sumatra to Java.
Mm.
That's another one. Then you have the one that is in between the north of China, crossing Mongolia to Baikal in Russia. So it's from Xi'an to Baikal. That's
Mhm.
another uh, important journey.
And have you
Uh,
done all of those? You've personally done most of
no,
those, if not all of
not
them.
all of those. Not all of those. No.
Uh-huh.
There's another one very close to Egypt, which is connected to the journey of Egypt. That's why I didn't say it, but it's the Holy Land, like the Jordan River, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey. That's another one that is very important, but it's kind of connected to Egypt. And there's another one in Australia that
Uh,
yeah, um,
like the
the
Uluru
center.
or different?
Yeah, Uluru is kind of the end of that journey, I think, or the
Mhm.
beginning of it. And it ends in Papua. So it's from
Ah.
Uluru to Papua. Yeah, um, that's another one. So I would say those are kind of seven very important ones.
Easy peasy. There should be no problem with a seven-year-old son. I should be able to bring a whole film crew with my seven-year-old son, no problem. Um, this is great. Okay, so, last question, and then we'll start to bring it to a close. Marina, who has an amazing center in Greece, which is on, like, different ley lines there, she received a download or a message that she needs to help connect Egypt with a specific triangle in Greece.
Which
Delphi
island?
well, she's not on an island. She's in a town inland. It's called Mistros. It's very near Sparta,
Mythos.
and she's on Mistros. Yeah, it's very near. It's like the oldest Byzantine castle is right next to her, and
Hmm.
also it's on the Mother Mary ley line, Artemis ley line, and I'm forgetting the other. Maybe Marina, you can remind me. But she had a message that she needed to connect Egypt with this triangle in Greece of Delphi, Taygetus, and Peloponnese and Paliagos in the Aegean. Is there anything that you would add to
Yeah,
that on connecting Greece and Egypt?
yeah, sure. If you have, if you have all the journey that we said in Egypt, okay, so
Mhm.
you have the priest or the priestess sitting with the caduceus, okay. So when you have this person sitting on the ground, picture this: you have a person like Buddha, okay. So picture Buddha sitting under the tree of life, holding the caduceus, okay. So that's Egypt. That person, that Hermes or Jahuti or Buddha or whatever, is holding the caduceus, sitting under the tree. So why I say Buddha, because you have seen this image of Buddha with the snake on the head that is
Mm,
protecting him
mhm,
from the rain. Okay,
mhm,
so from the back, the power of the snake, where the throat of the snake is, okay, is all Israel, Palestine, all that region, okay, on the back. And then the head of the snake is Turkey. Yeah. So in between the head of the snake and the third eye of the person, what you see between the poison and the medicine,
mm,
okay, what you see here in front is Metatron, is the throne beyond, is this, basically the flower of life in in the geometry. So what is Metatron? Is Greece. So all
uh,
Greece is Metatron. So every power point of every isle of every island that is in every island that is in Greece, every region, every mountain, every holy place in Greece represents a node in the flower of life of Metatron. So
mm,
if you see the map, then you have Egypt as the person sitting with the caduceus, which is the Nile. Yeah. The power of all the memory of God, which is Israel, on your back, Turkey on the head of the snake, and the snake plus the conscious observation of Buddha or Thoth is Metatron, and that's Greece. And the center of all the powers is Delos, so uh, which is close to Mykonos. That's
mhm.
the center of all Metatron's power. But
Wow.
the Peloponnese, Delos, all Delphi, sorry, all of those regions are kind of the edge of Metatron, is holding the space. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's so, so helpful to have the map and to link them together through this symbology and through this mythology. Like, thank you for helping us to connect the dots and to
I'm going to the
remember.
I'm going there and to the Peloponnese in 2 weeks, actually.
Oh, great. Well, this Marina is there, and she has a beautiful center called Euphoria. I
Yeah.
would highly recommend. I can connect you if you'd like. And her symbol, she's
Yeah.
saying her symbol at this place that she built is the flower of life.
Oh,
And it's a
cool.
really beautiful, like this whole center that she received and downloaded. And she made a lot of money in banking, like built her own bank and then got sick and healed herself with all these ancient modalities and technologies, and then built this healing center, but was able to fund it herself. And her sister is the architect. So it's a very rare thing where like healer woman, had the vision, funded it, no board of directors, no investors. Like it's a really pure transmission and really
Nice.
potent healing modalities there. And it's the
Great.
flower of life. So, yeah, Matthias, thank you so, so much for the wisdom, the intricacy, the specificity, the generosity, the enthusiasm with which you share this. It's so, I feel
Thank
humbled
you.
and inspired and enthusiastic and so lit up. You've connected so many dots. Like I've had many of these conversations happening disparately in my mind or different downloads, and just in this conversation, I'm like, there is a mycelial network of magic happening already.
Yeah.
And so, just deep, deep bow. Know that the ripple effects of this conversation are going to be very far and wide. And is there anything else I want to say to you? Just how can we support you? Like, how can we fan your flame? People who want to, I know you have Yo Soy, like if people want to follow you or learn more about you or support your mission, how can they do that?
Well, now we talking about the poison medicine. Next week I'm gonna be in Troy, in Turkey. We're gonna do an open event in the Achillean beach, and to take basically to take Helen to the Peloponnese again, so
And
Sparta.
isn't Helen or Helena like the Greek interpretation of Isis or no?
No, it's not precisely that, but it means what was lost in Metatron. So,
Uh,
like Metatron was broken because of the War of Troy. So, that's why the idea is to bring that from Troy to Sparta, and I'm gonna do that in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna be doing that. So from now on, from the next year, I'm gonna be doing a whole journey that I would love for a lot of people to connect with it, which is
mhm,
the alchemist journey. It's gonna last
mhm.
3 years. And we're gonna do things every day.
Every day for 3 years?
Yeah. So it's a whole thing that the idea is to walk an initiatic journey through time and space. Um, so I would just invite everyone to join and to see how they can support
Yeah,
in
and how
any
do
way.
they find it? Is there a website? Is there an Instagram? Like, how
We're
do they
gonna
find it?
we're gonna start to publish it everything in October through the
Okay.
website, which is yosoy.red. But we're gonna publish everything in my Instagram and everything. So
Okay, so Yosoy, YOSOY dot red, RED.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
check that
So
out, and
everything
then
will be
you're just
there.
at Matías de Stefano on Instagram, yeah?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So I wanna come out. I wanna come and be in ceremony with you. I wanna support this mission.
Yeah.
And also check out Journey of Remembering on Gaia. It's really fascinating. I mean, you're like a little baby on it when you start, and you're so young when you started. And it's so fun to watch the evolution. And yeah, team, I would just say like this podcast, this conversation is a lot. There's been so much knowledge, especially if this is new for you. I would recommend listening again. Like really give it your full attention, go into meditation beforehand and receive it again. Really as Matthias speaks about each temple and each space, like let those parts of your body be remembered, be reactivated, especially those of you joining me in Egypt in October. And if you took something out of this, if you enjoyed it, I would invite you to screenshot it and share it. I'm just at Ziva Meditation. He's at Matías de Stefano. Tell us your big ahas. Tell us your takeaways. Tell us how you'd love to support Matthias on this 3-year journey, because this is exciting. We do this because we love it and we want to hear from you. So thank you so so much to everyone who's joining me in Egypt. Thank you to all of you listening, and we will see you next week on Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? Oh my gosh, Matthias, that was so good. I'm gonna
Cool.
keep it live just because so otherwise it'll kick out our audience. But truly that was mind blowing, heart opening, so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank
My
you,
question,
truly.
my
Mhm.
question would be: you are gonna go to every temple in a private visit?
We've mostly private. I think we mostly have private.
Okay.
I think there might be one or
Okay.
two where there will be other people, but mostly private.
No.
And
Okay.
there
No. It's
our
it's just
plan. Yeah, go ahead.
no. It's just because when you said what would you recommend to offer in temple? So if it's not a private visit, just be very careful on what you do, how you dress, because you're not allowed to do any spiritual things, and it's for also respect to the people that work there that they don't want for you to do that because they can be in trouble also. A lot of guards in the temple can be fired if they if someone is doing spiritual things and you are not allowed because it's not private. So for respect to them and also for you to have a good time and not a problem, just remember that if you're not on a private visit, don't do any spiritual things or don't go dress up like spiritual or anything, and don't do like meditation or touching stuff or singing because you can have a bad situation. But if you're in
Yeah.
private, it's all okay. Yeah.
Okay, so at the so if it's private, you think there's more freedom. We wouldn't be like being disrespectful or get someone fired if it's private.
No, yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
beautiful. That's really helpful. Yeah, I guess just selfishly, I have one final question is that, as we prepare, as I prepare to plant the prayers for these like large scale activation at the pyramids, is there anything that you think I should know or remember or do or don't do? I know you've done large scale activations at the pyramids. Just any notes from the future or advice, especially ones around pleasure. Like my plan is that people will be initiated in the practices beforehand. Like that's why I made Ziva Magic so that they knew the visualize, alchemize, magnetize formula.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be explicitly sexual or people don't have to be touching themselves, but I want them to be able to move into very ecstatic, high coherent states and hold a vision. But just anything that you would have us know as we hold these prayers or have me know as we start to move forward with this.
Well, of course, these kind of practices always inside, never outside. Always try to do them inside the chambers, not outside in the main um, the hypostils columns, like where you have gardens with no plants, but you have the open gardens. So I wouldn't do those practices there. I would prepare there to do it inside in the chambers because it's more protected. People
Hmm.
cannot say anything. The guards are not usually there with you when you are in a
Hmm.
private visit, so
Hmm.
you have more freedom
Hmm.
to do these kind of practices. I would recommend that, um, to always prepare outside the chambers, in the gardens outside, and then do the task inside when it's a powerful thing. I would always recommend doing the most powerful thing before sunrise or after sunset. That would be the most important thing to be inside, which is more dark inside, and it's more energetically more protected.
Hmm.
Um, Also, yeah, and the inside the pyramids, when you go inside the pyramids, I would recommend not to go to the sarcophagus unless there's someone that is searching for a specific healing, for example. Okay. Otherwise, forget there is a sarcophagus there. It's not. Yeah. It's
What can I ask
just
why? Like, do you think it's like dangerous or just to be respectful of it
it's
or
it's not dangerous, but it's for respect because it was used for specific practices.
Mhm.
It's not just to lay down and have fun. So unless there is a specific practice that requires it, it's better not to use it.
Mhm.
So I
Okay,
would
and
be respectful
specifically
for that.
healing, you think?
Yeah,
Healing.
specifically healing or something that someone needs to open something very very big, but not it's not good to have constantly changing energies inside
Uh-huh.
that place.
Like, that's what
It's
we
like,
did.
okay,
You know how
only
everyone
one person holding the space could be, but not constantly
changing.
changing people. Yeah, those are, I think, are the most important things to have in mind. And
Yeah.
please, for the best of the temple and for your also best, don't bring anything that has oil in it, like to put neither in the temples or anything. If you have to put oil, put it before on you before going to the temple or the pyramid, because they can just take it away, or you can have a bad time or stuff like that because you are not allowed to bring this kind of things there. Yeah, and to remember that the most important tool that you can bring there is your body and your voice. So, and
And if
always
we
be
have private
respectful
access,
of
we'll be
that.
able to sing and tone and things. If we have private.
If you're in a private visit, you can tone, you can everything. Yeah. If
Okay.
you're not in a private visit, I would recommend not to do any humming or anything because you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah.
Okay. We wanna have a good time. We're here to have fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
Matthias, thank you so
and I
much. Yeah.
appreciate like that. I had once, just to tell a story.
Mhm.
In Dendera, I had once an experience of me channeling a priestess that I never expected to channel a priestess, but she led everyone into an orgasm, and which I never did that before, and she was like leading everyone into release tensions, and she was like literally saying that at least in the temples below, like from Philae, from the temple of Isis till the temple of Karnak, is really important to unblock, mainly in Philae, to unblock the sexual energy. To
So if we wanted to do orgasmic sexual practice, better to do it in the lower chakras, Philae up to Karnak.
exactly, yeah, exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
That's really
So
helpful. Thank
so
you.
so all those practices are already unlocked when you go to
Mhm.
the pyramids. So it's
Wow.
easier and more open, and yeah, and it's easier to do those things in temples in the south.
Okay. Yeah, and I also think helpful to, like, if we're bringing that life force energy, that creation energy, that kundalini from the root into the crown, it would make sense to activate it when we're in the root and then reactivate it in the
Exactly.
crown. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Mhm.
Really helpful. How did it go with the priestess working through you, bringing everyone to orgasm? Did they like it? Did it feel safe?
Oh,
Were
it
people
was
touching themselves?
a
Or
lot
it
of
was
people
energetic?
had. Yeah, there were two ladies that were very spiritual that didn't understand why and got mad about it. Uh, the rest was
They didn't
were
understand
very
why
happy
you were going
because
into they didn't understand why you're
yes,
going to
why.
pleasure practices?
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course, there's a lot of people that are blocked in the sexual energy and and have
And
been
trauma
prepared.
and shame and
Exactly, yeah. So most of people don't understand the importance of unblocking that energy to empower the
Mhm.
Kundalini, for the spiritual realm, and the source of power is in the root chakra. So, but it was fun because, of course, we had men with guns observing us from outside, a bunch of people having an orgasm.
You're speaking my language, Matthias. This is what I incarnated for.
So, uh,
That's well, that I don't know. I don't think you were there, but when we went with Robert, when we were in the, I don't remember the name of the temple, the one that exploded, with like the rose granite.
the
Um,
pyramid.
yeah, the pyramid near Cairo. Robert,
Mhm.
as we were there, he was like, "Emily, do you want to do like a crown chakra activation? Because this one was apparently the crown." And I said, "Sure." But the group got split into half. So I was doing like a Kundalini draw, like a breath, like bringing it up into the Hall of Brahman. And there was, I don't know, maybe 15 of us. And then all of a sudden, like these 10 guards come up with guns. And I just turned around and I was like, no, like something just like came through me and was like, no. And they all just stopped. I just kept, it felt fun and a little naughty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes that happen. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. But
I know you know. Well, Matthias, this is a delight. Thank you so much for who you are, and thank you for your generosity. We'll be cheering you on and supporting you. Anything else you want to leave people with before we wrap?
no, I don't know. I don't think so. Those were the advices.
This is really, really big. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And thank you to everyone tuning in and for your questions. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Mwah. Goodbye, everyone.